So this would kind of be like a short one just to get back into the stream of things. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. What happened? Why has it been a while? Well, my day job. What had happened was something happened at my day job that required me to be present during work. And it was consistent. It was constant. So that's why we haven't been streaming for a bit. Now we've come back to it, and I will be fixing the stream so it has the proper prompt up front. But we are getting towards that. Hopefully, my day job won't have anything wild, and we can go back to doing this every other week on Mondays or Tuesday, depending on the day. But we will see how that goes. As for other content streams, we're still working through. I am considering getting Tarkov at some point, but we will see. I don't know if that's something I will stream. Kind of be dependent on you guys and my day job. As for my reviews, the Battletech review is slowly moving through. I'll probably be working a little bit of it after this, but I am hopeful to get it done before the year ends, but we will see. Again, the day job. So, that out of the way, I invite you all to our little stream of looking at the Digimon reference manual. As you know about the rules, I look at a Digimon and I give my opinion on it. I say at least one positive, one negative, and I give a suggestion of what I would change. I also read the description. Renamon 565, how was your Halloween? Day job. It was work. I was hoping this year to do one of those trunkerweens. For those who don't know, some places during trick-or-treating, some places, because of how unsafe neighborhoods can be, some church groups or groups set up a small, basically in the parking lot, a little trick-or-treat thing where you go in the back of your truck or van, your trunk, and you do a small trick-or-treating thing. I was planning on doing that this year, but work got involved, and yeah. So basically, my Halloween was work, which I'm not too happy about, but the day job does that. That's just one of the things, which is also why it's so important to like and subscribe, because yeah, at some point I would like to make this channel become, my main focus. But that's for the future. I suspect that maybe in another 5 or 10 years. Anyway, so other things I will say, I've watched a little bit of Digimon Beat Break. There are some pacing issues I have with it, but I'll see where it goes. But I don't know. The first 3 episodes were we'll see. I'll watch it a bit late. I'll watch it a bit later. We'll see how things go. As for the stream, like I said, I'll also read the description of the Digimon so that we can get an idea of what they're going with the Digimon. As we've already done Doggymon, the next Digimon we'll be looking at is Dokugumon. Dokugumon, a cursed Digimon in the shape of a spider, whose entire body is infested with a computer virus. Although originally a spider type, Dokugumon was a gentle Digimon that behaved more like in a typical insect Digimon fashion. One day, however, it was caught in a powerful electromagnetic storm and was infected with a computer virus lurking around the network. From that moment on, it became a lump of venom known as a computer virus, corroding everything with a simple touch. Dokugumon's 8-legged mobility is worthy of special mention. Even if someone runs from it at full speed, this Digimon will be right at the heels, pursuing them until they tire themselves out. And when its foe sleeps peacefully, it will end them with the deadly venom blast from its fiendish fangs. So apparently there's a non-virus version of Dokugumon. That's interesting. Wonder if we'll see that one day. Probably not. So, things about the Digimon. It's a spider. The traditional poison skull and crossbones on the abdomen. That's fine. They really went into the virus aesthetic, going with the black leather belts in purple, which very traditional of viruses. We've seen that with Devimon. Excuse me, heartburn. Things I like about the design. I do like they went full on with the virus aspect. What I would probably change, I'm not a big fan of the horns, because that leans more like a beetle. And as far as I can tell, there are no spiders with horns or antenna. This reads more Devimon or beetle, and I think this should be omitted. I understand that it's formerly an insect Digimon, but if we're going to go into the spiders, I would say omit these. As for what I dislike, again, I don't like the horns. I will give it the perfect, as it is a pretty interesting little design. So, yeah, what I like that they made it evil spider. I don't like the horns, and I would just omit those. They don't really add much to the design, in my opinion. They just take away from it. So we're going to give this about 20 seconds. And with that, we'll be going on to the next Digimon. Remember, this is an interaction stream, so if you wish to add your own opinions on these Digimon, you're more than welcome to. And I'm just noticing there are new Digimon in this that at some point I'm going to have to address. One of the problems of going through this during a new season. Dolphmon. A unique sea animal Digimon specimen spewing from a particular signal that occurred in software researching interspecies communication. Dolphmon's range of activity is limited to the ocean, where it engages in high-speed underwater movement. As one might surmise from its appearance, it possesses a high intelligence. Its thought processes are complex and difficult for the average person to comprehend. Dolphmon dislikes useless combat, but shows no mercy to opponents who challenge it. It uses its special move, Shaking Pulse, to amplify the ultrasonic waves it ordinarily emits from its mouth for communication by firing them at maximum output. So it's a dolphin. That's very easy to go at. Design-wise, it's a dolphin. Really not much to say there. I do like they added the stripes on the back that give it a more dinosaur approach. We also got some scars and battle damage that show that it is a formidable foe. I will say, though, reading the description and learning, oh yeah, it avoids useless combat, this doesn't read that. This reads that it's more of a reckless Digimon that fights. And I think adding the cut flippers, while aesthetically pleasing, I think doesn't read well. I think it would be better if these were just normal flippers with maybe some lighter damage. If there's a thing I would omit, I would probably omit some of the flippers. No, I wouldn't omit the flippers. I think that the amount they have is decent. I think what I would probably change with the design, I would probably change out the battle damage. The scar on the head is okay because battle damage happens regardless of life. But things like the flippers being all cut up and everything, I think that reads too much like it's a reckless fighter. Like it gets in fights all the time rather than it avoids useless combat. that's what I would change with the design. I'm also... I'm glad it reads dolphin, but I'm a bit concerned it's going too much into the dolphin-esque. Maybe something to change it a little. That's why I'm a bit hesitant on saying these are too many fins, because it does add to changing it from a dolphin, but I don't know, maybe there should be something to change it, but I don't know what. As for why I went over the communication aspects, back in the 70s or 80s, I forgot when, there was a NASA scientist that did, it was either the NASA or the Navy, they did experimentation with dolphin communication by trying to teach a dolphin English. And it's a whole thing. I'm not going to go into it because there are things they did during that experiment that are kind of icky. And kind of outside the purview of YouTube. But let me look up the name of this, just so that you can do your own research. Okay, it was Margaret Hugh Lovett of the Dolphinarium. You can do your own research on it because there are some wild things they did during that. It was I think the 80s is when they did that. No, 60s. It was the 60s. But yeah, as for the design, what I like about it, I like they added these aspects like the stripes. And I like that they broke up going all in with the dolphin. I don't like the battle damage. And if I were to change this, I would omit the rips in the fins. So, yeah. 20 seconds. And with that, we're going to move on to the next Digimon. Dunshoutmon. Ugh. A manly soul mode possessed of a wild and untamed soul. Is this AI generated? A manly soul mode possessed of a wild and untamed soul born from the fiery fighting spirit of two Digimon. Dunshoutmon swings its weapons in rhythmic motion to beat its foes, and their screams ring out on a battlefield like procession. This Digimon burns with fiery passion, and its irresistible fighting spirit drives it to join in on conflicts it has nothing to do with, only to escalate tensions. It will turn small arguments into a fist fight, or a minor dispute into a bloody feud. Conflicts never cease when Dunshoutmon is near. No sooner has it joined in on an unrelated fight of some kind than it starts pummeling one side with its fearsome sticks, never stopping to ask questions. Love the color. Love the color of Dunshoutmon or of Dolphmon. No sooner as it joined unrelated fights, let's see. Then it lashes out at something else, it beats them, and it beats them, and it beats them again. It pretends to attack in one way or another, and then beats them instead. It just beats anyone and anything it can, and it beats and it beats and it beats. It starts up a rhythm, sometimes for ferocity, sometimes with great sadness. Dunshoutmon creates a song as it fights. That's its special move. The technique is always the same, but depending on the rhythm, the name of the attack or the name of the song changes. I will say this about the profile. Creative, but I get the feeling that whoever wrote this got bored halfway through. As for the design, it's Cross Wars, it's Shoutmon as a drum. I don't have much to say about that. I can definitely see it as part of a Shoutmon band, but things about the design, this crest is unnecessary. It makes it read like the entire Digimon is Victini, and it gets in the way of banging the drums with the maracas, with the sticks. I think that's excessive. Other than that, it's just a red taiko drum. For what I would change, omit this and make the maracas look like actual taiko drumsticks and not these mauls. I don't like this design, but that's something I've said with a lot of the Cross Wars Digimon. They certainly put creativity in the profile, but no, it's a Cross Wars Digimon, and I'm not a big fan of those. So yeah, what I like, it fits Shoutmon. I don't like the Victini V, and if I were to change it, I would omit it, and I would change these to just be standard sticks. Thoughts? I'll give 30 seconds in that regard. Ooh, we have more people watching. And with that, we're going to move on to the next Digimon. If my computer would act normally. Dorugamon. A savage beast dragon Digimon possessing the temperament of both beast and dragon. This heavyweight creature makes most Digimon flee at the mere sight of its shadow. Dorugamon can be ferocious like a wild beast in battle, but the dragon's intelligence at its disposal means it's usually quite docile. It is presumed to be an experimental prototype Digimon, Digivolution, due to an antiquated interface on its forehead. Dorugamon uses the special move Power Metal to shoot a large iron ball from its mouth and crush its foe. With its signature move, Cannonball, it can launch an iron ball while charging, although this move lacks power compared to when it stands still and charges its power first. So, from the Dorumon line, again, one of my favorite Digimon. Going off of the design, the inclusion of purple is noted, but they're also adding in a lighter purple to break up the design, giving it almost a slight camouflage-esque. The claws on both the feet and the hands, the feet are more akin to like cats, I find, while the claws are more just grabby. Simple wings, that's decent, although I'm a bit surprised they don't add a little nib here. These are just standard wings. We got the interface, but it's been shrunk. I'm not a big fan of the collar. So, what I like about the design, I like that it continues Dorumon's evolution. And I appreciate that. It looks like a Dorumon that has grown up. What I don't like, I think this little swish here is a bit... It doesn't... In the original design, Dorumon, it's more of like a fox tip. This is a bit muddled. This may just be the design, the artwork they're showing. Let me look up what... if there's a 3D model, because sometimes the 3D models do a better job. Not really. I think they would have done a better job if this was more like a fox tuft. I'm not a big fan of the neck of the collar, the poof collar. That leads more towards a bat design and less of a dragon. I know it's supposed to be a beast dragon, but this is leaning more towards beast, in my opinion. More of a bat. I'm tempted on giving it the perfect, but given the amount of things I'm saying about the design, I really can't. What I like about the design, it continues Dorumon's evolution. I'm intrigued that the wings aren't your traditional bat wings. What I don't like about the design, I don't like the ring around the neck, and I don't think this tuft of fur on the tail is great. I think that's a bit of a bleh. What I would change, I would probably omit this ring and I would turn the tuft into more like a traditional fox-esque tail tuft. I would also probably change the claws to be more like paws with long claws out rather than this design. But again, that might just be the artwork. Overall, it's a good design. I like it. But there's some issues with it. No one's perfect. Well, I say no one's perfect. There are little things they could do to reach that, in my opinion, a perfect design. But it still needs some work. 30 seconds. And with that, we're going to move on to the next design. I think we're at least going to try and get to Eosmon. Dorulumon. A beast Digimon with a strong spirit of chivalry. Dorulumon can mostly be found in rocky, mountainous terrain, where it typically acts independently rather than in groups. The drill in its head is made of its own hardened hair, and its drill buster attack, by which it spins this drill at high speed before shooting at an enemy, never misses. It specializes in hit-and-run tactics, running around at high speed to flesh out and then attack enemies before moving out of reach. It's not limited to land-based combat either, and can start a tornado by enlarging its drill on its tail with Drill Tornado, making it a threat to flying Digimon as well. This ability to deal with opponents both on land and in the air makes Dorulumon a truly versatile fighter. It also has a powerful attack when it really wants to go out called Drill Blader, by which it perches atop the drill on its tail, spinning itself around as it lashes out at foes. Furthermore, Dorulumon can team up with other Digimon in its bombardment mode to fire Dorulu Cannon. We basically have another lion. I'm kind of convinced they made this because they wanted Leomon, but they didn't want the Leomon implication. As for the design, it's a weird mix of mechanical and organic, and I think it would be better if they omitted some of the mechanical, because this reads less like these drills are hardened fur and more like we just attached a Black & Decker drill to a monster. Although I'm wondering if the original design, given this is Cross Wars and Shoutmon, if this was supposed to be a cable, an amp cable, an XLR cable. And they just went, no one knows what that is, we're just going to go with drills. I kind of suspect that was where they may have been going with this, but I don't have any confirmation on that. I mean, I'm glad we have another cat-like Digimon, another lion-esque Digimon, but I think they're going too much in the mechanical. I like the fire aesthetic, that this is a fire kitty. I don't like the mechanical aspects. I can understand having the tail and maybe a horn, but everything else is a bit much. If I were to change this, I would omit things like the drills on the knees, and I would omit these weird spikes on the back. At most, I would just keep the drill on the front and the drill on the back. It's a meh design. It's a lot better than most of the crossword designs, but only just. So, 30 seconds. Gonna check Twitter. Well, make sure to follow on Blue Sky. I also have, well, no, the Twitter's only for personal use. I don't really use that post on there that much anymore. Yeah, I'm not too happy on how AI is going, with how that started using AI. Oh, why don't you fully move? There are still people that use it. Not everyone uses Blue Sky. So we went over the whole drill thing. Now we have Drimogemon. Digimon that moves through the earth at high speeds with its giant drill on its nose. Drimogemon stays deep in the earth, so only a rare few meet it. Docile and easily embarrassed, yet it enjoys a good prank, often taking Garurumon's favorite bone it buried in the ground and hiding it someplace else. Its special move, Drill Spin, attacks foes with its giant drill, and Crusher Bone throws a bone it stole from Garurumon. Why do I have a feeling whoever made this was trying to one-up Garurumon? So, talking about the last Digimon and the whole drills, this I think is a good mix of mechanical and organic. You got the big drill on the nose, which goes with the drill aesthetic, and you got the drills as claws. They didn't go overboard with it. It's a simple design that looks relatively easy to make. I like that they went in this direction. What I don't like, going off of the description, they don't have a bone anywhere. I think it would have been neat that if in one of the hands it was holding a bone. And other than that, it doesn't really read mischievous. If there's not much I really say I dislike. It's a simple, easy design. I think recall this is one of the early Digimon. What I would change with this, what I like about the design, simple. They didn't overcomplicate the mechanical aspects, and it reads decently well. What I don't like, it doesn't really read mischievous, and if I'm going to be honest, it reminds me a lot of Patamons in Training. Let me look that up real quick. Tokomon. The design reads a little too much like Tokomon has just gotten bigger, which is understandable for a rookie, not so much a champion. So I would say change a little bit something. I would also say add a bone, because the description talks about it stealing Garurumon's bone, but there's no bone here. So, yeah. I like that it's a good mix of organic and mechanical. I like the simple design. I don't like that they don't have the bone. And I would change it that they should add the bone. Maybe add it to make it a little more mischievous. And less like a Tokomon that grew up. 30 seconds. Okay. We're going to Ebidramon next. Ebidramon. With a hard outer shell like a shrimp and huge pincers, not the best description, Ebidramon is an outlier among the Dramon species Digimon. Even so, those who underestimate it based on its looks are sure to fall prey to the powerful attacks of the species. Its special move, Twin Neptune, by which it attacks with its two pincers. Digimon? You need to do a better job with descriptions. I wouldn't use shrimp. I would use lobster or crawdad. This is not a shrimp. This is what we call a lobster. I like that it reads a lobster. It's a simple lobster Digimon. They did a good job of mixing lobster and dragon, because looking at the face, that is a dragon that's been transposed onto a lobster. Very red. It's a fun design. Some of the claws are not symmetrical, which is interesting. That does happen with crustaceans. Things I don't like about the design, I think the tail at the end needs to be more armored, because that's kind of how lobsters are. They have these fins in between. So I would say add a membrane in between the fins, or make this a little more lobster. A little more armored, I mean to say. I don't have much I can say that I dislike about it. I like this design, and I will give it the perfect. Fun little thing, in my campaign, one of the players there that I play with Digi Destiny, one of the players, their partner Digimon becomes an Abidramon. We call them Mr. Krabs. I like this design. I like that it's a simple lobster, that they still kept the dragon aesthetic. I don't like that they call it a shrimp in the description. And if I were to change it, I would make this tail at the end have a membrane in between the flippers, or make it more armored. And it gets the perfect. 30 seconds. So we're going to end out the day because, well, we're kind of getting back into the stream of things, and I'd like to take it slow for a bit, at least on this session. We're going to end with Eosmon, an artificial Digimon based on a certain other Digimon. While it's been commonly accepted that artificial Digimon peak at rookie level, extensive research has overturned this assumption, allowing Eosmon to digivolve to champion level. It lacks emotion, moving according to the instructions of researchers. Any good or evil deed it performs depends on how a researcher programmed it. Eosmon Champion uses Mirror Guide to spread its transparent panel-like wings in order to protect itself and targets, or Mirror Dust to detach its wings and launch them at the enemy. It also uses its special move, Bolt Rip, to imbue its scales with electrical shocks from its palms and launch them at its foes. Looks like a satellite. We have an interesting use of hexagons. I'm not a big fan of this design. It's a bit too. This might just be the artwork, but it's a bit hard to read. It looks like will you get to Kyubimon into the, hopefully, given how work's going. I'll bring that up after we address Eosmon. I think my problem with the Eosmon is it looks too much like a Metabot. No problem with Metabots. It's just, I don't know. It's a bit, the design, this might just be the artwork. It's a bit too complex for my liking. I do like the wings that it's like an artificial butterfly. But I don't know. This reads less Digimon and more Metabot. If I were to change it, I would probably add some more organic aspects, more rounded areas. As is, it's a bit too hard to read where they're going with this. I do like the idea of using hexagons. Looks like crystals. It does, but to me it reads more like solar panels, which uses crystals. Yeah, I can see that. it's a weird mix of crystals and solar panels, and I don't like it. It's an okay design. It's just this feels more like a Metabot. If I were to change it, I'd probably add some more rounded organic aspects. I would probably also omit the legs, give it more like a artificial angel-esque approach. And this bow on the back is a bit much. So for the design, too complex for what it is. I like the idea that they're using hexagons, but I think they're using too much, that they've overcomplicated the design. I would add some more rounded features and probably omit the legs. There's something here, but I think it would be better suited for a Metabot. We'll give it 30 seconds. So, the 30 seconds are up. This was sort of a short session, this stream. The reason we were going at it short today was I'm trying to get back into the stream of things after that long hiatus. We'll look at XVmon next time. As for Renamon 565, your question about Kyubimon, that's the hope. But we've got a lot of Digimon to go through before we get to Kyubimon. So we'll get there. Hopefully we'll get there in 2026. If we're lucky, we may get there in 2025. But we've got quite a ways to go. Like I said, like and subscribe. Hopefully, this channel becomes more prominent and I can move to doing this more often. Like I said, I may get into Tarkov, but you guys are more here for Digimon than Slavic Extraction Simulator. So we'll see where this goes. As for like I said, as for my BattleTech review, it's coming. It's slow. My day job's been the thing. I have heard about the Discotheque DVD of the Digimon movies. I have ordered a copy. I will review that when I can. That may actually bump out some 2 other reviews I was planning. So it will be interesting to see where things go. I'm debating on that DVD whether to do it where I do the movies individually or I do it with the DVD. We will see where things go. Well, with that, the plan is to come back here in 2 weeks' time and actually look at more Digimon. This time more than just 45 minutes. Because after that long hiatus I did to you guys, we need to make this proper. This is just sort of get me back into the roll of things. I may also consider starting this earlier. Because 5:30, that's fine, but do kind of want to get more in. So, with that on the way, like and subscribe, and I will see you all when I can. Well, be safe.